You are listening to the Fever Report every Sunday on the Central Indiana Sports Report. And please check out my new daily podcast, Greg and His Friends Talk Sports, where my friends and I talk about the Fever, the Pacers, the Colts, IU, Purdue, and so much more. John and Michelle are regulars on the show, and it's a lot of fun. Please check it out. Every day on the Central Indiana Sports Report. Welcome, Fever fans, back to the Central Indiana Sports Report for this week's Fever Report with John Robertson and Michelle Garmon. And guys, I think people in Indianapolis are really excited about this upcoming season with people hopefully being healthy. Caitlin Clark hopefully being healthy. The question I have for the two of you is, are we even going to have a season?
I think they get something done. I think it's a last-minute deal. They finally squeak it out. I think the WNBA front office is handling it better than the players' union people, but we'll just have to see what happens. They're supposed to meet tomorrow, so we'll have more information after that for how it goes. I think the Players Association is still going to be kind of how they've been. They're sending Kelsey Plum, to be one of the representatives, and we know how well she speaks in public, so we'll see how that goes.
The Players Association, they've kind of handled it, I think, wrong too, John. I agree with you. That to have both Stewie and Fee be part of that committee, and they're owners of Unrivaled, and that's just a conflict of interest, and especially when they try to compare how they run Unrivaled to a WNBA franchise. They know how to run a business. Well, that's kind of apples to oranges because their business is on a much smaller scale. It's going to be it is going to end up being interesting. And I don't know about you, but I personally think it's kind of neat that Caitlin Clark is just kind of staying out of the whole thing. And I think they tried to bring her in, hoping she would kind of help them a little bit. But I just like the fact that she's just taking care of herself and is focused on getting healthy and the Fever.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I would be very frustrated if I was in her position because it drives me insane that they want to focus on and maximize Caitlin Clark when they feel like it's going to be good for them, right? As you would as a business. But then as soon as everything's going, they want to minimize everything about Caitlin Clark and how she's not all the draw. And so pick a lane. Just pick a lane. That's really all I'm asking for from most of the players. I feel like the WNBA's actually decided to go. They're really highlighting Caitlin and promoting her, which they should have done 2 years ago, but they were afraid to hurt people's feelings. So the league, I think, has decided we're going to go that route, but now the players' union's going to have to, or the players within the union are going to have to do that, other than when it's negotiation time.
Yeah, they're just going to have to admit that she is a big draw, and that Unrivaled attendance game, 21,000. I think Paige Beckers was on one of the teams trying to say, they're trying to market, oh look, we can draw 21,000 and no Caitlin Clark. That's fine. That's an Unrivaled. It's totally different. Who knows? But my thing is, what were your sales? What were your ticket sales and your draws like before Caitlin Clark entered the league, and what have they been like the last 2 years? And she sells tickets, and I don't care, some of you vets, you may not like it, you may be jealous, but she's a draw, and you got to learn to like it.
Well, teams have already admitted they're hesitant to move arenas for Fever games just in case she gets hurt again, because last year it hurt them. So they're admitting, whether they want to admit, that she is the draw. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. That doesn't mean that other players aren't worth seeing. I have lots of players I like to see. Yeah,
everybody knows it.
Yeah. So real
quick,
why
are you trying to fight it?
Well, that comes down to, and I think this has been obvious the last couple of weeks too. And I try to avoid politics because I just don't want to get involved in the conversations because people can't handle them. But I think the WNBA is an activist league. It's always been an activist league. It's not always been about sports. It's been about some sort of political statement, and they can't let that go. Like, I mean, Stewie was holding up political signs the other day, and it's always something, and they don't want it to be about just basketball anymore, and they can't handle it. They can't help it. So I think that gets in their way too.
Yeah, it does, because what it does, that drives fans away. And of course, the WNBA,
Yeah.
when they go back, another issue they're going to have to take care of is officiating. Officiating at all levels. I mean, I'm looking at college games. I looked at two of the women's games on last Thursday night. IU lost to Michigan by 28 points, and Purdue got blown out by Michigan State by 20 some points. In both of those games, more than 40 fouls were called, and almost 50 free throws were shot. That should never ever happen. And these women's college referees do a lot of the WNBA, but it's like they call everything ticky-tacky at the college level, and then they let them play like thugs at the WNBA level. And somehow that's got to, I mean, the players have got to become less activist and concentrate on sports, because I don't know about you guys, but when I go to watch a basketball game, I'm there to watch the basketball game and be entertained. I'm not there to have an athlete tell me their political beliefs or tell me how I should believe. That's not what I'm there for.
No, I agree with all of that. Like, I don't want it from not just WNBA, from any sports. I just want to watch the sports. That doesn't mean they can't have an opinion outside of the court, but like when it's game time, let it be game time.
Exactly. Don't hold up signs.
Anyway.
And you know what? And show respect for a country that allows you to have the freedom to hold up your signs by going out and staying in attention for the national anthem.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second, because that's probably my biggest beef with the WNBA in general. I've been to, I don't even know how many games at this point, a lot. And the only team that I can say for sure that I remember being on the court every single time for the national anthem was the Fever. Now, I've been to a lot of NBA games, and they're always out there. We were in Atlanta on Monday, and like the Hawks and the Pacers all are out there for the national anthem. It just drives me nuts. Sorry, I don't want to get on a soapbox.
It drives me nuts.
This podcast.
Hey, John, it drives me nuts.
That's just one of my big pet peeves. Like,
well, I get that. It drives me nuts.
That's what this podcast is for soapboxes, guys. No.
Well, no, I try to stay, like, I try to live and let live. I try to be, you have your beliefs. That's cool. I'm not going to sit here and be less activist and then be an activist. Like, but the one that bothers me is you're in a country that, like, you have the freedom to do the things you want to do. They're not throwing you in jail for, I don't know, having a vape with weed in it. So, or they're rescuing you from a country that did arrest you for having a vape with weed in it. So maybe be out for the national anthem.
Yeah. I mean,
we can say all kinds of things about America's not a perfect place. There are problems with some of the system, and I would like to see lots of the problems fixed, but I still appreciate the freedoms that I have and the ability I have to live and do the things I want to do, or potentially play a sport for a job.
When did we lose sight of that?
I don't know.
Hey,
I really don't know.
It's how they have the freedom to negotiate salaries, right?
Offended and oppressed, and like, yeah, they do. They do.
I mean, in another country, some other countries, they're not going to be able to negotiate their salary. They're just going to be said, "This is what you make."
They're going to say, "You play basketball or you go work in the mines."
Yes.
Take your choice. I don't know. I just that's the one thing that really irks me. And again, I don't really want to see political signs on shirts or whatever during the game. Like, outside the game, you are free to say whatever you want. And you're free to do it during the game, I suppose, but I'm also free to think that it's not the appropriate time or place.
Hey guys, I saw a report this week that it's possible that Lexi Hall will not be protected for the expansion draft.
Wow. Who would they protect in her place?
I mean, that wouldn't shock me, if I'm being honest. Like, I'll be extremely sad if Lexi Hall moves, but I don't know how you wouldn't protect her. She was so good for our team.
Well, somebody's going to not be protected who's been really good for this team. That's the issue, right?
Yeah, but didn't you said they could protect 5?
Yeah.
We listed the 5, and I think the 5 that we listed Caitlin, Boston, Lex, Sophie, and Kelsey. I think those are the 5 that you protect. I think going forward, you got 2 defensive dynamos, and you've got offensive firepower, and you've got a post player in there. And the thing is, Stephanie likes defensive players, and Lexi and Sophie play defense and play it really well. I don't know why you wouldn't protect both of them.
So I don't always trust artificial intelligence, but we don't have any official news on who they're going to protect. So let's just see what AI says. They've got Caitlin Clark for sure protected, Aaliyah Boston for sure protected, Kelsey Mitchell for sure protected. But we know those 3. So this is where AI and the reality may change. They have Lexi Hall being protected as a critical defensive role player and a restricted free agent. But then they have Michaela Timpson, who's under contract through 2028 as a protected player, which I don't know about that. So they have Sophie Airy and Natasha Howard as unprotected. Now, see, I think of that unprotected list, you're most likely to get Sophie up there for Michaela. Would be my flip. I would keep Caitlin, Aaliyah, Lexi, Kelsey, and Sophie. Natasha Howard she's aging out and unrestricted free agent.
And we've seen no proof that Timpson's going to be a valuable NBA player, WNBA player.
She had moments last year. She had flashes, but she didn't play enough minutes to really cement herself as high value.
I agree.
They'll know more. They're there with her every day, clearly.
Sure.
But
if they get rid of Lexi, I'm going to have to buy a whole bunch of new Lexi jerseys, which is going to hurt my wallet.
Will it depend on which team she goes to, whether or not you continue to cheer for her, or will you cheer for her no matter what?
I'll cheer for Lexi regardless. I absolutely love her as a player. I could see the Portland Fire really making a play for her, though, just because she's from the Pacific Northwest. I mean, her home was in Oregon or Washington. I don't remember which one.
Well, we lost Michelle again. John, she'll probably be back here in a second, but it does make sense that if she's unprotected, that Portland will be where she went. But let's just hope she's back. I think she's a key part of this team.
I think she is great as far as defensive. Like, no one plays the defense as well as she does. And I think as far as just the overall atmosphere and the core energy, I think she brings that. I really do. I think that if you had Caitlin, Aaliyah, Lexi, Kelsey, and Sophie. I love Sophie. I think Sophie's a wild card, though, right? Sophie's going to do what Sophie's going to do. And I think she enjoyed being on the Fever last year. And I think she brings a lot. And I'm a huge fan. I'm not trying to knock her. But at the end of the day, if she sees an opportunity to make more money or to do something that benefits her, she's going to do it. And that's fine. But she's definitely not, I don't feel like she's as connected as part of the core.
It seems like to me it's pretty easy to make it those 5.
Yeah, I agree. And I hate to say that about Aerie. I love Aerie. She's going to get picked up by somebody for sure. I could see her, if the tempo wants to stick with their name and play up-speed basketball, I could see him picking up Aerie to be their point guard.
Is Aerie an unrestricted free agent?
Yes.
Well, then somebody could draft her, but you might want to find out if she's willing to sign with you or sign long term. And if she's not, she's in a spot she could probably kind of land where she kind of maybe wants to.
That's right. She had a good enough season last year. Pretty much everyone's going to want her.
I think the expansion draft with 2 teams thing is really kind of proven why I'm so against the expansion as quickly as they're doing. They're adding so many teams in the next 5 years. It's almost like everybody's mad at the NCAA and the players shifting around from all the NIL deals and all that stuff. You're kind of never settled on a team in the WNBA right now because you got to worry about everybody getting drafted on the expansion stuff in the next 5 years. It's hard to fall in love with a core group.
So, John, there's supposedly a meeting on Monday for the players. Just hoping that goes well.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be weird, right? Because the players know that the WNBA is up against a hard timeline because the schedule's out and tickets are sold and things are whatever, and they're gonna be coming off this high of that Unrivaled event that had 21,000 people. Now, you can. We didn't really discuss this too much, but I kind of wonder if that wasn't what's the word I'm looking for? Stage, like not like a stage, but
no, I think it was. I think
I can't. There's a word I can't think of right now.
Targeted that for a bargaining chip to say, "Hey, see," because I do think the WNBA.
Yeah, I think so too.
Wants to say, you've had the success, but a lot of this is Caitlin Clark driven. You all want to write off this, but you all want this huge increase in money. We're still not a real profitable league. The attendance has been driven by one player. And so this is kind of how we see it. And I think they want to say, well, we drew 21,000. It's not just Caitlin Clark that's making these crowds, but yes, I bet over the long haul of a season, it is.
But here's the thing. This is one of those non-good faith negotiation things. Like, they had this special event away from where they've been running Unrivaled anyway. And let's look at the average attendance of any and ticket sales of any of their other games. It's been almost nothing. But when you move it to another city, and they had to have promoted it in a way that convinced people to get there, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of behind-the-scenes backer who bought a lot of the tickets and gave them to people just to get butts and seats. Now, I do think women's basketball's got a draw right now, but I don't. Unrivaled just hasn't historically been pulling that many people. So I think it was a promotional event type thing that they did to try and create the image of how great it's doing, even though it's not that spectacular. Because the ratings have been terrible. If you look at the ratings, they've been bad. So something just
I didn't even know what's happening.
I don't watch
it. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, I keep up. I watched a game or two just because Lexi's playing. But if you just follow it, the ratings have been terrible. Attendance in the actual games at wherever they normally have them has been 1,000 people per game. And then they have this event surprisingly or coincidentally close to when they're meeting with the WNBA. And, oh, look, we sold out all of Philly's basketball stadium. We sold 20,000. Like, it just something, I don't know. It feels off. It doesn't mesh. Something feels manufactured. And I'm not even trying to hate on Unrivaled that much. I think it's fine. I think they try to sell it as better than it is. It's fine.
I do too.
But there's no way that there was just a natural people in Philadelphia were suddenly like, yay.
Yeah, let's go down to a second-rate women's basketball league. Yeah. There's some kind of ploy, some kind of effort.
What I think Unrivaled is good for, it means players don't have to go overseas to play in the off season. That's what Unrivaled's good for.
That's what it should be good for, yeah. What they're trying to use it for now is a negotiating tool.
Well, exactly. And the thing that I think is going to backfire against the people that are on the Unrivaled, because if I'm the WNBA and I give them the money they want, or at least closer to the money they want, I'm going to say non-compete clause. You're getting paid more money. Now you can't risk injury in other leagues, period.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
That's what I would do. And do you think Fee and other owners are going to allow that to happen?
Well,
I'm just curious to see what happens tomorrow. We'll see. I do think the players are going to come in. Anyway, I think it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to hold my breath or anything. If the season doesn't go, I get my tickets refunded. So that would be sad.
What I'm thinking about is they want all this increase in money. Well, that in order for them to get a lot more money, owners are going to have to raise ticket prices and season ticket prices. Then are you still as big a draw? One of the things that makes women's basketball at all levels a draw is it's cheaper entertainment for you to take a family than it is to go to see a men's game, whether it's at the college level or the professional level. And if your tickets start being what they are for a men's game, and you're choosing between certain tickets, so much money, I think the women's games are going to be what's dropped as far as season ticket purchases.
I don't know that I fully agree with that. I think traditionally that may have been true, but it's more about the product you're putting out there. And if the product is exciting, people will pay because right now the Pacers product isn't great, so they're not selling tons, and the ticket prices are down, and Fever tickets are much higher. I really do think it's more about the product, and they've got to put out a good product. And like WNBA as a whole, I don't think is a great product yet. Like I love to go watch the Fever, but I don't watch a ton of it. I do because I'm gambling on it.
That'll help.
But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm just curious. It'll be interesting. My daughter will be super sad if they cancel the season, and I'll find something else to spend that money on. But that's kind of where I'm at.
John, Michelle, let's talk about more Fever next week. Thanks so much to John and Michelle. As always, thank you for listening. Don't forget, we have a Fever report every Sunday, and John and Michelle will be regulars on my daily podcast, Greg and his friends talk sports, talking Fever a lot. Thanks again. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.